All right, my name is Shelly. Welcome to my video today. Sometimes I sit here to record and I know exactly what I'm going to say and how it's going to go, and I'm excited. And other days I am like, oh my gosh, what the heck am I going to say? And do I even know what I'm going to say? Am I even credible to say anything? You know how the mind can come in and doubt those things. But nevertheless, here I am. Now, since Thursday of last week, I've been on a personal deep dive into the realms of Pluto. I've been doing a lot of research on Pluto and even looking from the evolutionary astrology perspective of Jeffrey Wolf Green or Green Wolf. I'm so sorry, Jeffrey. I know you've passed, but those of you who know his work know his work. He's amazing. Yes, Jeffrey Wolf Green is the name of the man who coined evolutionary astrology. Now, from that perspective, and I want to share this with you because I found it so insightful, and I think you might as well. The way that his system interprets the soul is with the Pluto placement. So it's very, very interesting from this perspective. So I'm not saying all astrological perspectives are this. This is Jeffrey's work and evolutionary astrology. But from that perspective, from what I understand, and don't quote me, I may make mistakes, okay? I'm not coming here saying I'm a professional. I'm being real with you guys, okay? But from what I understand, the Pluto placement in one's natal chart is directly connected to soul. And depending on, let's just say, the awareness of that soul, there's different terminology that he uses, is how one would read a person's chart, okay? So there's these different stages that humans can be in, and depending on the stage, our placements may mean something different because we're at a different place in consciousness. What I found really interesting is the moon is connected to the ego self. So the mind self, how we identify ourselves on planet Earth. And Saturn is connected. Oh, good Lord. What is Saturn connected to? Saturn is connected to, the consensus state. Okay. So our Saturn placement is connected to consensus state of consciousness. So the consensus state in Jeffrey's work in evolutionary astrology means the mass population and how they see and identify to the world. So the consensus state is, for example, if we look at the America, right? And we look at the Republicans and the Democrats and the political system. The consensus state is the majority of people accept, agree with, go with. They just, I don't want to say just follow, but they are connected to the consciousness of you see this way and so do I. Like that's how we connect. That's how we view the world. So it can be very limited, okay? And Neptune is connected to the spiritual state. So how we connect to our spirituality and our spiritual self. So as I'm like going through this and looking at this, first of all, I'm looking at my own chart and completely triggered, okay? Which is normal. When we look at our birth chart and we look at it from a place of going deeper and going beyond the nice fluffy parts and the parts that quote unquote make us special, and we look at the parts that are like holy HE double hockey sticks, right? It's a wild ride. So according to this perspective, also you're looking at your Pluto aspect, which is the soul. You're looking at its direct polarity. You're looking at what's exactly across from it. And I mean, again, I can only share my experience because as I'm reading this, my intention is both personally, but it's also to the wider collective. It's like, okay, how do we become more aware, in tune, and willing to do the difficult work, right? Because it's difficult work. I'll give you an example, okay? So when I look at my Pluto placement, it's in the first house of Virgo. Directly across from it in my 7th house is my Venus in Aries, okay? This, when you read about this, it's not a nice glorifying position, right? It's going to really suggest that there's going to be problems in relationships. There's going to be problems in partnership. There's going to be, according to this system, and I feel like what's really interesting is I don't feel like I'm here to journey into one system, because what I believe my purpose is to really find the gifts in the work, because there is, without a doubt, Jeffrey Wolf Green's work is absolutely, it's priceless to humanity. It's worth more than words can say, okay? I don't look at his work and study his work looking to refute or debate him or any of those things, because it's just so powerful. And that's why so many people have gone this way and have really embodied the path of evolutionary astrology. But as I'm in there and really being open, right? Like, there's parts and places that I can see are possibly, and this is where this whole astrology debate gets so weird, because we don't really want to say they're not right or they're incorrect or they're limited. Like, any way that you approach something to refute it, you're essentially in some way suggesting it might be wrong, right? And humanity has this really big problem with being wrong. I don't know why I don't have a problem being wrong. It might be all the placements in my 8th house, because I'm totally okay with being wrong. I think it's part of the evolution of the human mind and psyche and even soul, right? When we realize we're wrong and we're like, holy crap, it's actually a gift, because it allows us to do that realignment. But I suppose what I want to share is from this perspective of evolutionary astrology, what I really appreciated the most of what I've gotten from it thus far is the idea that we can't box people in, we can't box clients in, and we can't box our own charts in, even, right? So if we were to read someone's chart, and I'm speaking to you, wherever you are in your level of consciousness and awareness, and again, there's no hierarchy, there's no it's better to be here or better to be there, but wherever you are is where you want to read your chart, and honestly, where you have to read your chart, right? If we try to read a client's chart, for example, if we're reading for someone else, and we read them from this evolved soul perspective, we're not helping them where they are in the moment, where they are right now. And in order to really be able to help ourselves or someone else, we have to be real with where we are. And I think this is the thing that I've come back to many, many times, is not only in myself, but in other clients that I've worked with, we can identify and be in some really high spiritual states and states of consciousness. But if we don't understand how to operate in the fundamental levels, which from Jeffrey's system would be even considered the primal instinctual levels, we're going to experience a lot of disharmony in our life. So something that I've been pondering, and I haven't spoken this out loud to anyone, so you guys are the first to get this, is where I feel we're going collectively as humans right now is that it's no longer solely about the goal of the spiritual being or the soul to attain the awareness and the level of consciousness. I think what the work is, and you guys, I'm totally open to hearing feedback on this. The work is to experience, feel that, know that state, but then we have to almost descend and come back to that beginning part of the chart so that we're actually taking that level of consciousness and putting it down into society, putting it down into the quote unquote, and again, from the system, I'm studying this system right now, so that's why I'm referring to it, okay? When I shift over and I study another system, I'm going to be referring to that quite a bit as well, okay? But when we shift back and we come back to the survival state, so in evolutionary astrology, the first chart of the first part of the chart, and I'm not sure, maybe this is in Vedic as well. I don't know. I haven't gone there yet. You guys can tell me. But the survival state is the beginning of a chart, and then you go into the more philosophical, expanding soul, whatever parts, right? So I'm wondering, this is my theory, like, are we missing, oh my goodness, I'm just connecting this as we're talking here, right? That circular cycle, the spiral. So if we think of even the Celtic world, I've done a lot of studying in Celtic shamanism and it's my ancestry. The spiral is there is no beginning and there is no end. So if we look at this concept with our birth chart, perhaps maybe the collective human consciousness, and I'm just spitting this with you guys, okay? Perhaps what we've lacked and maybe has stopped the development of higher consciousness being grounded into our earth plane is that we get up into that, 12th houses, higher consciousness planes, and we don't descend and come back and go through all the other steps of quote unquote survival again. So I don't, in my opinion, and this is where I'm at right now, and who knows, I might change it because I'm okay with being wrong, right? Perhaps we're to cycle back through that survival cycle, and it's not survival anymore. It's not survival, it's actually integration. I don't even know what I'm saying here, guys, but you know what? I'm just thinking, and this is my intention with the channel. I'm not here as an expert. I'm not here to be like, I am the da-da-da, no. But I'm here to explore things and look at things and challenge myself and offer some things for you guys, because you don't have to agree with me on anything really, but perhaps just even listening to this dialogue sparks things off for you. And you start to kind of put together things in your own life, and you start to feel inspired to dig into whatever you're passionate about in a deeper way. That's kind of how I feel about all of this stuff. Okay, so I think it's really fascinating. Evolutionary astrology, I will be digging into you for probably the next few months. I want to fully understand it. I have some theories that I'll share down the road, and these are more complex theories that I'm not ready to just throw down and look at. I don't know if they're right yet. So it's a matter of testing it out and looking at it on a deeper level. So going to Pluto and Pluto retrograde, which I know Jeffrey's work, there's so much around Pluto. If you look at his chart, and I've looked at his chart both with the Western tropical breakdown and also the true sidereal breakdown, which is absolutely fascinating. This man can't get away from Pluto, right? Pluto was like everywhere. And Pluto's a big deal. So I feel like we're in this time right now where we're invited to really go inwards with this energy. Retrograde of Pluto is about 6 months. So someone asked in the comments, how long is this retrograde? And I could feel the energy. It's like, oh God, when is this over? But I don't want us, or at least I invite us, not to look at it, oh God, when is it over? How about we look at it and be like, wow, this is a long cycles of transformation, of inner awareness and growing. They're beautiful. They're not easy, but they're incredibly enlightening if we allow ourselves to go into that type of void. In the reading that I did a couple videos ago, there was this real sense of, not to necessarily push forward. And I wanted to address that today because I don't think it's not about not doing things or taking action. Of course, this is the human life. But where I've gone with this as I deepen my own process with Pluto retrograde is that it's not time to fly into new territory per se, if that makes sense. And I say fly because we can walk, we can, swim, we can slowly enter into new territory. I think all of those things are great. But the idea of like taking off and flying like a jet into something new right now could be not recommended from how I feel it and how I go into it, okay? But that doesn't mean that in this 6 months we're not exploring, we're not tapping into, we're not researching, we're not experiencing, right? We're not, yeah, we still are living and we're still, but from a more retrospective position. So, even for example, we live out here on this gorgeous land that we've been restoring for like 13 years. Just going out into the land and, instead of thinking, what am I going to do with this? What do I need to do? Just feeling and receiving. And it's like, what is this land here to teach me? You don't have to own land to do this. You can go out in nature. And instead of, looking and searching for something, like, what am I receiving? What is the message here for me that I can take in? I think this is really helpful. So that's the beginning of this video. I hope there was something useful in all of that chatting. I'm not really sure. But the second part, I felt called to pull some cards for you, okay? I love cards. I love reading cards. I think they're just such an awesome tool to allow the psyche and the intuition and spirit to all kind of merge into a message. So I'm going to just get these cards, and I'm asking for you, the collective that I'm reading for or watching, who's watching this, for a card that's relevant for us. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the Eight of Pentacles. Now I want to share with you, the Eight of Pentacles is the card of hard work, dedication to a craft, to a focus, to an area of expertise. So the Eight of Pentacles was my favorite card for my entire duration of building my doll business. I was obsessed with the Eight of Pentacles because this Eight of Pentacles was the energy is I just keep momentum. I'm going to grow. I'm going to get better. I'm going to get stronger. I'm going to quote unquote be successful. Okay. I still love the Eight of Pentacles, but ask yourself in your life, where can I consistently dedicate my energy? Where can I put it that feels fulfilling for me? So I'm actually picking this up. This is outside of our responsibilities and even our maybe work job, but into our passion. Where can I place energy into something that lights me up and consistently build at it? Maybe a little bit every day. I'm not talking obsession here. Some people need to hear that difference. This isn't about obsession. It's just about consistency on something. Okay. What else do we got? Yeah, the Two of Swords, the choice. For some of us, we need to make a choice. Hold on, Spirit. Let's get another one here. Yeah, Seven of Cups. Okay, we have the Seven of Cups and the Two of Swords. So this is, we need to make a choice. This is, I have too many options, okay? So some of us have too many things, and I don't say too many things with, there's something wrong with that, but it can be very hard to focus and narrow in when we have too many doors open. If you think of your computer screen, if you have too many tabs open, what happens? It starts to feel overwhelming. You don't know what's where, and everything's kind of confusing. So the choice to pick a couple of those, right, Queen of Pentacles, to pick a couple of those directions. I don't think it's just one direction, but a couple of those directions and narrow in on them. Give that Eight of Pentacles consistent work to them. And I'm going to give an example because this is coming up. Perhaps you're a painter and sometimes you paint a lot, but then you go through lulls where you don't paint at all. Spirit's saying, well, what if you painted a little bit every day, like 15 minutes every day, instead of waiting for those bursts of inspiration, which could mean, like 6 months of doing nothing. And then, you pick it up and you kind of do something, but then you go back in that lull and you don't actually end up creating anything. So the card that came out is this Queen of Pentacles. The Queen of Pentacles has abundance. She has emotional, spiritual, intellectual and physical world abundance. She has it all together. She doesn't magically just end up like this. She ends up like this because she's clear on her choices of what she's going to do, wants to do. She puts in the hard work, the dedication, the consistency, and she only focuses on a few of these things. For most people, guys, it's one or two things focus on. Some of you maybe more, but for many people, what's happened is there's too many doors open. And because we have access to technology the way we do, which is a gift, our brains and our minds and our dopamine can get addicted to going in all these different directions. So it's refine that so that instead of outputting all your energies, we're going to go to energetics here. Instead of outputting all your energy and being scattered in all these different areas, right? Because what's going to happen when your energy is going out like that, you can't receive, you can't pull in, right? Because there's too much going out and projecting out. The energy has no place to come in and land. So if the energy is held and intentionally directed one or two places, those one or two places can receive and can allow them to be, what do you call that? A return on investment, an ROI, right? You can actually get something from it. I hope that makes sense. I don't know how these cards got like this because I've just been splitting the deck, but we got the Hanged Man, a new perspective. Some of us need to change how we view ourselves and the world around us. And again, I'm going to take this back to astrology. I think that astrology can be a really powerful tool to help us look at something from a new way. And be careful that you don't get down on yourself. Like I said, as I've been digging into my own chart, I'm like, holy cow, like my chart is a natal mess. Like, what did I do in my past lives, right? And that's a whole topic for somewhere else. But don't get down on yourself. Looking from a new perspective is maybe just asking yourself, where have I been kidding myself? Where have I been limiting myself? Where am I living in self-delusion, or what is it? I'm thinking like grandeur, when you think you're better than, okay? A lot of us do this. This isn't something that's like rare. It's like, oh my gosh. We see it all the time in movies and in our programming, to not just think highly of oneself, because I think people who think they're better than usually have very low self-esteem at the core, but it's a survival mechanism, right? So allowing yourself to just be open, to be open at the curiosities and the limits that you may have. They're not such a bad thing. They're not a bad thing at all. They're just like something to be like, oh, oh. And I shared in a previous video that when you notice a pattern inside of yourself that you don't like and you want to change it, there's a very simple process that you do, is noticing when you do the behavior, calling yourself out in the moment, and deciding to do something different, right? So I'm going to ask for one more card. I'm going to have a sip of my coffee. So this says, loved with an everlasting love, Jeremiah 31:3. I live in Bible Belt, Alberta, and they're very Christian. I bought this because I feel that something can hold good energy, and this Bible verse holds good energy. I feel love when I hold this cup. So an example of, we don't have to look at everything that's completely different from our self-concept and deny it, right? The Bible, even though I'm not Christian and I don't choose to look at that book as the holy grail of this is all humanity needs to, yeah, anyways, ascend to heaven, I can appreciate some of the wisdom and the higher octave things that are in the Bible. So we're going to do one more card and I'm going to wrap up this video. I feel like I'm going longer than I normally do. The Magician. So I feel like to end today's video off, I want you to remember, and I'm going to remember this too, you are the creator of your reality. You are the magician. And if there's something in your life that you want to create, if there's something in your life that you want to refine, if there's things that you want to do better, even, right? You want to be more connected, more present, more in tune. This magician energy can support you in doing that. When you believe and you realize, oh, I do have the tools, or at least I have access to the tools, and it's up to me to implement them. That's all the magician is. It's not like something super special and magical. It has the tools and it uses them, and therefore gets the outcomes, right? The law of cause and effect. So I'm going to leave that with you today. There will be another video posted on Thursday. Please like and share this. No, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Share it if you feel there's somebody who could really use it. But other than that, I just want to really thank you for being here and watching this video today. And yeah, bye-bye.